Reading the body language of Khabib versus McGregor. That's the hook. Alright, so for those of you who are not into the UFC, last week, Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor gave what was possibly one of the greatest press conferences ever to promote an upcoming fight on October 6th in the UFC. Now, a number of subscribers asked me to do a body language analysis of this particular press conference because I am a body language analysis expert. So we're going to do it because it's going to be awesome. Enjoy.
The undisputed lightweight champion of the world.
Sorry, I'm doing work here. Research. Big time stuff. Okay, by the way, look at this point in the video and look at how McGregor is staring down Khabib, but Khabib is so focused on placing his belt that he doesn't even know that McGregor is staring him down. This is interesting for two reasons. One, I hope Khabib is always aware of all of his surroundings at all times. Protect yourself at all times. But the more entertaining thing is watching McGregor trying to intimidate someone through a stare down when that person doesn't even know that McGregor's looking at them. It's almost deliberate. Ignore him like he's not even in the room to make him seem insignificant. Side note, bringing it back to law for a sec. I was attending an examination representing my client who was being examined, and it was an interesting strategy that the older, more senior lawyer employed. He basically ignored me the entire time. Like, I was raising objections and he just brushed me aside like I was a fly on the wall. Didn't even acknowledge me, and it was belittling and it was condescending. I don't think it was necessarily effective, but I understood what he was trying to do. I wonder if Khabib is trying to do the same thing here to McGregor. Ignore him. Pretend he doesn't exist. Now they're making eye contact. Let's keep going here. Interesting there. The body posture. Khabib's got his hands on his waist, sort of like he's uncomfortable, like he's looking at someone he doesn't really know what to say. McGregor has his face as always fantastic. Okay, so let's preface this by saying I love McGregor and I love Khabib, but I loved McGregor before Khabib just because I knew of McGregor before Khabib. And there's going to be a lot of projection in this because you can't help but see in others what you feel to be true about yourself. Looking at the way McGregor is fidgeting with his water bottle, not his water bottle, his bottle of whiskey and his nameplate, I feel a lot of nervous tension coming out of McGregor, and I'm going to get to it in a second, but that is that sort of like constant fidgeting with what's on the table, rearranging it so that it's in a particular order. It's something I know of all too well, but I see it in McGregor. There is nervous tension, energy in him. Let's see where this is going.
If I was an owner and I was part of the promotion, I would have had our fucking fans in this arena. Where's the fucking fans at? That's who we fight for. That's who pays the bills. That's who deserves this show. I'm on probation up to my eyeballs in ongoing and incoming civil cases.
First of all, I agree with McGregor. The fans should be in there. I read one of the top comments and it was hilariously, classically accurate. Watching McGregor without his fan base is like watching a sitcom without the laugh track. You can't do it. Bring in the fans. McGregor is immediately jumping into something which is clearly on his mind. He cuts off the question. He jumps into this shtick about being on probation. He lances a darting look up at Dana White, like Dana knows what's going on. He's blinking a lot. McGregor is always a little manic and he's always a little crazy in his pre-fight press conferences. He strikes me as being a little bit edgier and a little bit more manic than usual. Let's keep going here. Okay, now look at Khabib now. Neck creaking and looking to someone on the side with a distinct sense of satisfaction on his face. Thus far in, I believe that Khabib might be winning the mental game war. What is it called? Marion, what's it called? Khabib might be winning the head game war. That's what I was looking for.
Vladimir Putin locked him up for embezzling 150 million worth of money from the Russian people.
All right, by the way, now setting aside McGregor and Khabib, look at Dana White here. Dana White looks like he doesn't understand fully what is going on. Dana White always knows what's going on, and this is all part of a well-orchestrated plan to hype this fight up to record numbers on PPV. That's pay-per-view for those of you who are not into the MMA. That's mixed martial arts for those of you who don't watch the UFC. That's the Ultimate Fighting Championship for anyone who doesn't watch TV. That's television for... Okay, never mind.
I stay relaxed, brother. I stay relaxed. I don't feel nothing.
There's a good old expression, talk softly and carry a big stick. Thus far into the press conference, it looks like Khabib is talking softly and carrying a big stick. Short and simple. Of course, Khabib is not a showman like McGregor, and I don't think McGregor is actually that much over the top. I think it's all part of the show, but it's fun to watch. Let's go.
Proper 12. Proper Irish whiskey. That's what I'm talking about. I came here to have a buzz with this.
Not that I'm a body language expert or even a stress expert, although I might be a stress expert. McGregor is taking very shallow chest breaths, not like these deep sort of I don't even know how to do them, but it's all like upper body breathing. Very, very tense, but now it all sort of makes sense because he's selling his whiskey. Proper 12. Marion, could you order me some? Yeah, you see, this is when I think that everything McGregor does is absolutely 100% calculated. He actually doesn't have any of these real emotions on a personal level or an internal level. This is all just for show, and he's a businessman, so he's hyping it all up, getting you absolutely riled up in the beginning, so that, where are we, 6 minutes into this press conference? So that he can sell his product to the biggest possible market after having gotten everyone's ears perked by looking at this manic, frantic behavior. Well played, McGregor.
Please, someone in the back, get me a cup. A plastic cup, please. Thank you.
All right,
Or
there we
please
go.
don't.
Plastic cup. Just a few sips.
Okay, now looking at his eyes right now, this is where I'm convinced it's all 100% show. This is a moment of sincerity with his eyebrows raised, he's smiling, smirking behind all of the show. Same thing with Khabib. Looking at Khabib now, there's a look of like thorough determination, but like this is all a show, just let's get into the octagon so we can do our thing. And that's what makes this amazing, is these guys can switch it on and off for show and for fight. It makes for a good show in the meantime anyhow. Still gotta taste that proper 12. Irish whiskey.
You have to taste it, mate.
I gotta taste it.
It is the finest.
Want to blank Khabib when you guys meet each other.
Stomp on his head as he's unconscious.
I hope someone explains to McGregor that that is against UFC rules. You cannot kick the head of a downed opponent. You certainly cannot stomp on the head of an unconscious opponent. That sounds like a bad game plan, McGregor.
You're beeping?
Do I turn my notifications off? No, I like doing that so that people watching this video think they just got an email while they're watching this video.
I know I have location.
I stay on bus.
6 October.
I stay on bus.
6 October.
Shoot in the bus.
I like that answer. I have a location. It's the 6th of October. Now it's interesting. Now Khabib is actually acknowledging McGregor, and let's just see where this goes.
No, sit down.
Shut
We're gonna
your
talk.
mouth.
I hope so, because if you put...
Okay, now Khabib is getting a little irritated. When you tell someone to sit, that is sort of like the act of dominance where you're telling someone what to do, and when they don't do it, you keep repeating it, thinking that somehow it's going to happen.
Sit.
I hope so, because if you pull out like you always do pull out, may
Who?
God have mercy on your soul.
Who
and trust
pull
me on
out?
that.
If I can hypothesize anything, it's at this moment we are now 12 minutes into the press conference. McGregor may be getting a little bit under Khabib's skin, and Khabib is going to probably in a few minutes take a deep breath and go back to being relaxed and not bothered by anything McGregor does. Let's see.
If you'd have got off that bus, you'd be dead now.
No, okay.
You'd be dead and only in a cell.
This language is bordering on actual threats. All for show, but not something I would suggest that my clients ever utter, even in jest. Let's continue.
I'm gonna mow you. Let's wrestle, kid. Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
6 October. Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle.
Alright, incidentally, it's not the first time that McGregor has made fun of an accent. I happen to think that even in the context of promoting a fight, Bisping did it to GSP. I don't think it's fair to make fun of someone's accent when they are speaking and trying to trash talk in a second language. Let's wrestle, let's wrestle. That's a good song. I think I'm gonna make like a remix, like a remix of that. That was good.
Let's wrestle.
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 I'm going to knuckle out your orbital bone.
I guess there is an exception to uttering threats of physical harm in the context of a UFC fight. Because if you say that you're going to punch someone in the face and break their orbital bone on the street, that counts as uttering threats, and it's a crime. I think doing it during a press conference is actually considered a good thing.
Conor, you've been away for 2 years, has been said. There's been some criticism. Where do you feel your training is right now, especially with your wrestling going up against Khabib?
I am very, very well coached. We are ready. We are ready here. We are ready for war. We are ready for all outcomes, all situations. We're going to go out and enjoy.
I like this question, I like this answer. He asks about his wrestling, what he's been doing, how he feels about it. Khabib has been ragging on McGregor's wrestling. He starts off with, I am very well trained, making sure that everybody knows that there's a team behind him and that he himself appreciates that there's a team behind him. And as of that point in the question, he refers to the we, not the I, which I think is a good sign of the fact that he actually acknowledges that he needed to improve something and that through his team he did do it. By the way, this whole video is going to be like 99% appreciated in retrospect. If everything I say sort of reflects the actual outcome in hindsight, I'm going to be a genius. If it doesn't, I'm going to be just another schlock internet guy doing bad body language review. Speaking of which, let's get back to it.
Khabib, your last fight, you had opponent changed right before you, and that fight right there was a very hard fight for you. What are you going to do different on this fight?
Okay, so very interesting. First of all, that's like the best question I've heard throughout this entire press conference. Substantive and direct, and makes Khabib feel a little uncomfortable. You notice when he picks up the mic, first thing he does, he goes to scratch his nose. He's sort of hiding his face, even the way he's holding the mic and responding to it. His eyes are sort of like closed, like he doesn't really want to address it. Good question. Interesting reaction.
All right, we got time for one more question.
Dana, Darren.
Please don't antagonize anybody.
Dana, is Proper Whiskey an official sponsor of UFC 229?
It is.
It is.
Double bells.
It is.
Yeah! It's on their canvas.
And Conor,
it's on their canvas. Like his blood will be on their canvas. October 6th. Let's get this face-off done. We're wrapped up now.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
You can see it in his eyes. It's marketing through and through. He's a businessman as much as he is a fighter, and right now is the moment of honesty where his eyebrows are up, his posture's different. By the way, Connor, I tweeted you a request for a bottle so I could do a 1-minute whiskey review. Get me the Viva Frei on YouTube. Viva Frei.
It is.
Love him or hate him, you have to love McGregor. Second of all, look at Khabib. Khabib looks like, feels a little dejected, and rightfully so. There's a little bit too much chummy action going on between McGregor and Dana White here. Khabib sort of looks like the guy in high school that's not fitting into the clique of three. But Proper Whiskey is a sponsor of the UFC. My goodness. His fighting is as good as his business acumen. Amazing. Sorry, hold on.
October 6th. Let's get this face-off done. We're wrapped up now.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Manic confidence versus silent, quiet confidence. You take your pick. I'm making my prediction. McGregor at 247 of the second round via TKO. Booyah! Ow! Gosh, peace out.
Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle.